There are some very interesting scenes. Like I said, Kesu has a very interesting dimensions to him. He has very interesting, you know, spectrum of emotions to play. So there are these really shy and awkward moments with Dolly. There are these really respectful moments with Omi Bhaiya. There are these fun moments with Langda Bhaiya when he's asking about some chick, who have, had some scene with somewhere else. So there are all those emotions. There's one particular chunk which I really love in the film, which really excited me a lot, which is Kesu is having a scene with Bipasha's character, which is Bilno Chaman Bahar orchestra wali, and she's like this really big orchestra singer, and she's like a star in her own right in this area of the state. So she comes to perform, and Kesu goes to see her, and the entire interaction between her and Kesu, which is so sensuous and yet so aggressive, and it has its own style, and she knows he's a dog. Okay, she knows that he's a dog. She knows he's Sudharne wala. He's going to go around and have affairs with many different girls, and she point blank asks him that, straight up, कि ja, so he says कि there are moments like where he says कि तू जानती है कि why I love you so much, baby, and he has that attitude. He says क्योंकि तू जानती है कि तू घनी खूबसूरत है रे, and she turns around and she says कि तुझे पता है मैं तुझ पे क्यों इतना मरती हूँ. He says क्यों, and she says क्योंकि तू हर दूसरी तीसरी लड़की को यही कहता है रे. So it's that attitude, and from there they come out, and how it comes into an interesting scene. There's an entire chunk which leads into the scene, which gets Kesu all revved up, and he drinks a bottle straight down to up, and Kesu is honestly saying he can't handle daru, but Langda Bhaiya chadaos him and ghumaos him and plays him in such a way that Kesu drinks the whole bottle down, and as soon as he's bottled down, you should see Kesu's colors change. He starts to dance like a maniac, and the Bidi Jalaile song happens, which goes into such a big fight sequence. So there's such an interesting continuous pattern and graph, to start with sensuality, go into a sense of insult and feel a little challenged, and then drink a whole bottle down, then go into this freak out song, and then from the song suddenly break into a fight, lose his control, lose his senses. So I just feel that patch is just very exciting. He's very emotional. Like there's a sequence where there's a fight in a brick kiln, in a bhatti, bricks ki bhatti, or into ki bhatti hoti hai, and he sees Omi Bhaiya is about to be attacked. And he realizes nobody else is there to protect him, and he sees somebody pointing a gun at him, and he sees 5 people coming to kill Omi Bhaiya, and he just dives in. He just goes in the way of the gun, the bullets. He just starts to beat up people. He just starts to dive on 5 people at a time. He'll pick up anything that comes in his hand and start smashing them, and he's really powerful that way. He's really tough. Like when he loses his mind, you don't want to be around him. So he's that powerful and emotionally that protective about people he loves. But his flaw is, I think, he's too naive. He just believes people too easily, He's too honest. He's too simple. And another one of his, probably his physical flaws, is that he finds it difficult to manage alcohol. He drinks, he gets drunk, he doesn't know how to handle it, and then when he's drunk, he doesn't know what he's doing. So he's got that immaturity to him. Also, I think in the film you see him change, you see him have a sense of growth, even with regards to the girls aspect, because Kesu otherwise is a big flirt. Every time you see him, he's strumming a song to some girl or the other, he's chatting some chick in college, he's riding his bike, he's very stylish, he's got a lot of attitude, he's got that entire thing. He's the gentleman also at the same time, he knows how to be rough also. So even there, I think slowly he starts to fall for Bipasha's character. He starts to fall in love with Bilno Chaman Bahar. He starts to feel that maybe he needs to settle down somewhere. So those are the flaws, but those are the human elements to Kesu. They're nice.
Coming to the music, have you listened to all the songs? What
Yes, I have.
is the flavor of the music?
Well, I have heard all the songs, and I think some of the songs are stunning. I think particularly the Lori, which is really, really painful. I mean, it's such a slow and romantic yet eerily tragic kind of song. I mean, it's a romantic song, but it gives you a sense of, oh my God, this romance is going to end in a sense of tragedy. I mean, it has that feel to it, which is very nice. But my favorite song, I think, in the entire film is Bidi Jalaile, because it doesn't feel like Vishal Bhardwaj's song, It doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like he's broken all his molds as a music director, and he's recorded this song, and it's so much fun. It's a song that can be played, in a village, and it can be played in a nightclub. It's that kind of song. You could love listening to it. You could dance to it. You could just sit down and listen to it. It's that kind of song. It has so much energy. It gets you moving and grooving. And I was really fortunate that I was part of the song. I did that song. So I love the song. That's my favorite song in the entire album.
I believe the dialect, the language used in the film, is not typical Hindi film language. Did you have to work on the dialect? Did you have to sort of learn? How did you work on the language?
Wasn't very difficult, I think, in my case, because Kesu was the only one who was polished. Kesu Bhirangi is, he's shikshit hai, sabhya hai. He's gone to college. He studied. He understands English. He speaks in English. He's exposed to international music. He's that kind of guy. And thereby, he doesn't have a Tate accent. But yeah, at places when he's conversing with people who are from the village, he'll speak Tate. But most times when he's speaking with Omi Bhaiya, or he's speaking with Dolly, or he's speaking with people like that, he'll be clearer, he'll be more spashed. But when he's speaking to Langda Bhaiya, or he's speaking to Bilno, he'll have that accent coming into play. So it wasn't very difficult for me, especially because I find it fun. I enjoy it. I think for people like, especially for Saif, it was really difficult because he had so much speaking, and also the dialect had to be so thick, and it had to be so strong and constantly there, and he naturally has a little bit of a Angrez tone and flavor to him, so it was very difficult for him. And I was amazed at the phenomenal, exponential growth in where he started, where we first heard him in the workshop, and then we actually heard him in the film. So it's great, and it's also sync sound, so there's no dubbing. It all has to be here now, live. I loved working with Saif. He's just a wonderful guy, and very chilled out, very laid back. Lots of fun. Like I said, a threesome. The three of us was Ajay, myself, and Saif. It was a lot of fun hanging out, chilling out together, and very supportive of each other. Very helpful. In many scenes I experienced where Saif was very forthcoming with advice also, and very good advice, I might add. So it was great. It was a really nice, positive experience working with him, and I have very high regard of him as an actor and as an individual. Bebo is she's beautiful. She's. Are you worried about the car?
No, sound is okay for me. That's
Oh, okay. Okay.
Continue.
Bebo, Karina, I've worked with her at Yuva before, and she's one of those people that you worked with in one film, and yet it feels like you haven't done enough or as much as you should have, because she's fantastic. She's just superb. One of my favorites on screen. She has this energy, and I think in this film she's fantastic again. She's beautiful and very interesting to watch, and she and I share a very interesting chemistry. We had that in Yuva, and even in this film there is an entire track, there's an entire angle where you can feel the chemistry in some of the scenes. It's really nice, so I love working with her. It's exciting working with her. Konkona, heavyweight, phenomenal actress, tremendous regard and respect for her performance in this film, and generally, she comes in from Bengal, not even exposed to Hindi per se, and then goes and does such a thick, hardcore Gaon ka Tate accent, and does it so well, and does it so believably, and just so freely. We never see her stumbling or grasping or groping for words and mispronouncing stuff. She just goes for it, and she's a joy to watch, and a lot to learn from, I think, as an actor. It's quite interesting to work with. Nasir Saab is an institution in himself. I think it makes an actor like me, it's a humbling experience to be praising someone like Nasir Saab, because I don't even find people like me at my stage and age of my craft and career to be in the position to comment upon someone of that stature and ability, and it's just brilliant and great to chat with, in between shots, hanging out with him, just talking to him, hearing stuff. It's very interesting. You learn so much. It's like an educational experience. Bipasha, I feel personally, I feel Bipasha is one of the sexiest, most gorgeous women I've seen in terms of she has that sultry sexuality and sensuality, and she's fire on screen. Especially the song I was telling you about, Bidi Jalaile. I mean, she's just fire there, and she's got such energy. The first day she came, everybody had that typical thing of, oh my God, how's Bipasha going to handle these words and these heavy, Hindi and stuff like that. And she just came and dazzled everyone. And this was our first scene. This scene that I was talking to you about earlier, where Kesu and Bilno meet and they flirt with each other, and there's that entire intimacy. So it was an intense and important scene, and she just did it like that. And it was my first time working with her. I was very excited and really loved working with her. She's really cool. She's very chilled out. There's been lots of fun on this set. There's been, it's just generally it's been so much fun. There was one sequence in Bidi Jalaile where Saif was supposed to lip sync something, and it was quite a heavy line that he had to lip sync, and it was just after this dance that we were doing together. So it was this entire energetic dance where we come forward dancing together, and then we stop, and then I'm looking towards him and he's supposed to lip sync, and each time he was getting the lip sync wrong, and each time he would get the lip sync wrong, I'd start laughing in his face. We have to cut the shot and go back and do it all over again. And he's like, will you stop laughing? And I'm like, will you start doing it right? For Christ's sake, it's such a close-up, you can tell it's going wrong. It's going wrong. So that was one of those really funny ones where we started cracking up. We couldn't stop laughing. We've had lots of fun stuff, anecdotes where all three of us were here while the bird flu epidemic broke out, and most guys who are working out seriously and stuff like that will try to eat chicken as a part of their diet, and Ajay is a serious chicken eater, and the bird flu epidemic was really bothering him, that the lack of chicken around. So then he actually sat down, and there was this full conference between Saif, myself and Ajay that kya kiya jaye. And then Ajay came up with a plan कि काम करते हैं, for these 40 days that we're here, let's get 40 desi chickens, desi murgas, let's find them. But how can we be sure, Ajay? So I said, how can we be sure? It could be affected. So he said, got an idea. He said, let's call a vet. Let's hire him. Let him inject and do a blood test on each one of the chickens. And then we'll have one on a daily basis. And actually at that moment we took it very seriously, and now we all laugh about it. It was quite funny to actually imagine 40 chickens and taking blood tests of each chicken, having blood samples of desi murgi, whether we should eat it or not. So it's crazy stuff, generally lots of fun, ghost stories. And one day I took a bunch of them after shooting early morning hours. I think we had a break the next day, if I'm not mistaken, and it was midnight or 2 or 3 in the morning. So I took a whole bunch of them with me. I drove from here. Ajay and Saif unfortunately were not there that day, but we drove to a place called Kate's Point. And I stopped at Kate's Point, and I got wine and strawberries and beer and, general khana pina, coke, everything for people who wanted to eat and drink, just like a picnic. And like, I am a kind of a prankster. So they started asking me, why is this place called Kate's Point? I said, oh, you don't know? About 400 years ago, and this, that, the other, this happened. There was a British woman called Kate, and she had come here with an explorer, and she was waiting here for her lover, and he dumped her, and then she jumped off from this point. And there was sudden silence in the entire car. This whole qualis full of people that were singing, dancing, jumping was silent, suddenly. So I parked, and I said, come, let's go. And everybody's like, I think I'll sit in the car, I won't come out. And I took them out, and there's this Maharashtra Tourism Department's viewing gallery at Kate's Point, and from afar it just looks like this rectangle. So I said, that's Kate's Maqbara. It's been built as a tomb for Kate, and you have to go there. And everybody was seriously, moved by the whole story and worried about it. And then I convinced them that at Kate's Point, the ritual is that whoever comes here should not go back without going on to the Maqbara, choosing a corner and praying for Kate's peace, saying, peace be with you, Kate. And then I said that if you're eating and drinking something, you should make offerings of that. So you should have seen everybody making a line, going to pour wine and strawberries in one corner and saying, peace be with you, Kate. It was hilarious. It was so funny. The next day they wanted to thrash me. They found out it was all story. It was really funny. they were all thought that there was Kate there, and then every time there was a sound at the back, people would suddenly turn around. What was that? I said, Kate, don't worry. She watches. She comes. She takes her rounds. She's here with us. That whole drama. It's quite funny. I've known Vishal Bhai for many years now. I've known him from the early stages of my career. I was introduced to him by my godfather, Mr. Ram Gopal Verma. And he narrated a script to me at that time. A script that actually, incidentally, Ajay was going to produce at that time. It was called Barf. And from that moment, from the time that I heard that script, I had the most amazing regard and respect for Mr. Vishal Bhardwaj, even before having seen any of his work. And then I saw Makdi, which I loved. I just loved Makdi. I thought it made me a child, it made me feel like a kid. And I saw Makbul, which is really intense. And the performances were really superlative. And having seen his work, having had a certain expectation of him, ki, okay, this is the kind of director I expect this degree and level of work from, I must say I'm fortunate to be a part of a film in which I think he has surprised and surpassed himself. I think his work in this film and the way it's all coming together is going to be a revelation to him. Forget the world. It's just fantastic. I think for any good director, in my humble opinion, because I have been here for a very short period of time, I've not even been in this industry for 3 or 4 years, but I've had the privilege of having worked with some of the best directors in this country. And what I like about Vishal Bhai's work, in terms of being an interesting director, is to find the exact balance between being clear on what you want and yet being open to receive something new or something exciting or a new perspective. So I like that balance between, being democratic, being ki chaliye aap hi bataiye what you feel, what's your opinion, theek hai, considering it, looking at it, discussing it, but at the same time having clarity of, no, I think this is where my film is heading and I'm going to bank, on this, I'm going to back myself on this, which is very important. He doesn't get flustered. And his passion is an honest one. It's true, it's been the same from day one till the end of the film. That's what's nice. He's a very honest man. He's honest with himself, which is most important, I think, for any creative person.